The attack came amid growing mistrust in public institutions driven by politicized rhetoric that has turned public health professionals from trusted experts into targets of villainization. I don't know. Maybe you go out there, if your officials in public institutions go out there with pentagrams on their chest while they sodomize their other scientific colleagues and use preferred pronouns and say that you're trying to erase transgenders while you encourage the transitioning of children, including giving them chemical castration drugs. You don't deserve our trust. All right, I know we have, we're going to talk about the axis of evil, but I feel like we could do that tomorrow if we have to, because this RFK thing.
They're going to still be evil tomorrow.
They're still going to be evil tomorrow.
And an axis.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do I have, let me see, do we have some updates here?
Yeah,
on,
so I
RFK
have a clip.
Jr.?
We have a clip we can play really quickly of RFK that they sent in. This is a bit of a shouting match back and forth, so you have it in there. So let's pull it up right now. We can react to it.
You can characterize it any way you want. I quoted them today. What I said was accurate. What you said were lies. You described people moving the Titanic.
Are you saying that the mRNA vaccine has never been associated with myocarditis or pericarditis in teenagers?
I am simply.
Is that what you're trying to tell us?
I am simply trying to say that the people that you have put on that panel after firing the entire.
Sounds like Mr. Mackey.
I'm asking the questions here.
I'm asking the questions,
I'm
okay?
asking the questions, Mr. Kennedy. I'm asking the questions, Mr. Kennedy.
I'm asking the questions, duty head, okay?
Parents and schools and teachers all over the United States of America. You deserve so much better.
I can't not hear it now.
Exactly. That's what this conversation is about, Mr. Chairman.
Senator, they deserve the truth, and that's what we're going to give them for the first time in the history of that agency.
Bitch.
Good. Well done. He sits back.
Eat my ass.
And a minute ago, he was telling one of them, like, you're just making stuff up.
Yeah, do we have that clip?
I could ask them, guys, if you can send that one in as
Think
well.
about, would someone please think of the children? Okay. Do you mean the ones who didn't want to serve for 2 years? The ones you didn't want to serve for 2 years? Hey, do you get any contributions from the teachers union? I don't know. How much did you get? What was that number? What was that? I'm confused. What was that? Would somebody please think about people who are getting sick? Okay. Do you mean like people who are forced to die alone? Do you mean like the mental health epidemic that we have now in young people, which we told you would take place? You mean like that? Do you mean like the myocarditis, which, by the way, he sighed some, I won't talk about myocarditis, okay? Well, I do, asshole.
Well, we're trying to get at the facts here. He's like, no, I'm the one asking the questions. I can lead you, then I can interrupt you. This is basically just a grilling. And Robert Kennedy is just saying, look, no. Like, the American people are suffering and dying. How? Like, I don't know from where you get the balls to go sit on that committee as somebody who has been in that chamber of our government for decades.
Yeah.
And then say, because you're coming in and trying to change things, make things more transparent, replicate studies, make sure that we at least acknowledge the failures of the past, you're the bad guy?
Well, let me actually, I think that's important, because this is all sort of the catalyst for this is that it's been taking place for a while, but yesterday the number reached more than 1,000 current and former HHS employees signing a letter calling for RFK to resign. So they wrote this. They said, "We, the undersigned, write to you with grave concern for America's health and security. The violent August 8th attack on CDC's headquarters in Atlanta was not random. The attacker fired hundreds of rounds. The attack came amid growing mistrust in public institutions driven by politicized rhetoric that has turned public health professionals from trusted experts into targets of villainization." I don't know. Maybe you go out there, if your officials in public institutions go out there with pentagrams on their chest while they sodomize their other scientific colleagues and use preferred pronouns and say that you're trying to erase transgenders while you encourage the transitioning of children, including giving them chemical castration drugs. You don't deserve our trust. Also, was
there a violent attack on the CDC?
There was a shooting at the building of the CDC in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Oh.
So they fired rounds. I don't know if anybody was hurt. There may have been some people that were injured, but I don't remember it being anything like that.
But let me give you the reason they're so upset. The reason they've been villainized. What they are opposing is this. Here's the RFK Jr. Op-ed in the Washington, I believe it's Wall Street Journal. Yeah, you guys have it. Wall Street Journal. He wrote a 6-point sort of plan as to how, again, what's your endpoint? You're the one sowing mistrust. No. Let's start with this. There's already mistrust. Poll after poll after poll after poll shows even the people who want to wear a mask in private in their own car don't trust the CDC, the HHS, just to be clear. So if you start from the right point, you go, okay, what have we done to lose this trust? Instead, they go, it's your op-ed where you demand these 6 points in the Wall Street Journal. Well, let me read you the 6 points and see if this is the reason. If this is the reason that people don't trust their institutions, or if the reason that people may continue to mistrust them in growing numbers is because of the response. So these are the 6 points that they responded to in protest. To protect from threats. This is written, I guess it's written from RFK, so I'll have to detect and defeat infectious diseases through enhanced respiratory disease surveillance and a biothreat radar powered by cutting-edge molecular tools. Oh, why must you villainize us, sir? To build infrastructure, to strengthen global and domestic systems, to predict, track, and respond to dangerous exposures and outbreaks, to modernize systems.
I didn't hear you. You used a different voice. To
strengthen global and domestic systems, to predict, track, and respond to dangerous exposures like Gerald's rhetoric.
I think Gerald does the better voice. Maybe he should do the rest of them.
I don't.
To modernize systems, to upgrade data, laboratories, and epidemiology to meet 21st century threats. Why must you villainize us, sir? To invest in the workforce, to rebuild the proud tradition of don't ask for the voice.
I'm not.
Disease detective, training epidemiologists at home and abroad. Enhance scientific rigor. Oh, this is one that they're upset about. Mm-hmm. Apply gold standard science to every recommendation, ensuring America leads the world in safe, effective vaccines and trusted guidance. Just to be clear, apply gold standard science. That means replication, which, by the way, has been sorely lacking. Doesn't mean that if you replicate it, we'll find out these drugs give you cancer. It means that we should start with what has been considered the gold standard. And he also included, finally, empowering states and communities, return to the original mission of supporting state and local health departments on the front lines of outbreaks. You know, like the states that were maybe being punished if they decided not to lock down, if the states were maybe being punished because they weren't going along with the guidance that was destroying their states, their population economically. Also, you could argue, as far as health, not just mental health, physical health, because people developed immune deficiencies and they were more prone to other diseases. There have been tremendous health fallouts. We're not just talking about Bill Gates trying to put a microchip in your neck when you're not looking like Dark Angel. We're talking about actual ramifications that we all know to be true. So these are the 6 points. Their response is, you must go, sir. And then they blame RFK Jr. for the mistrust in the institutions. Wow, must be nice to never be accountable. Also, it talked about too much bureaucracy. I don't know if you know this. Only 1 in 10 CDC employees are epidemiologists. 1 in 10. And very few of them are actual practicing doctors with patients. You know, like the doctors in California who were banned from social media, who talked about treating patients with, I believe, ivermectin, maybe it was hydroxychloroquine, and certain antiviral treatments, vitamin C, right? Doctors who are actually treating hundreds of patients. They shouldn't be allowed to have an opinion. It should be the 9 out of 10 CDC employees who are not epidemiologists and not seeing patients.
Yeah. By the way, that they were attacking those doctors when getting on a ventilator was almost guaranteed if you had a severe case, and it was a death sentence.
Yeah.
Basically at that point.
Right.
Like, don't try anything at all outside of the norm.
So
I'm not asking for myself. I'm asking for the lesser educated folks in chat maybe. But what is an epidemiologist?
It's all right, smart ass. Epidemiology.
No, I don't know what I don't know exactly what that means.
Someone who studies infectious diseases.
Okay.
Somebody who studies the mutation, transmission, the spreading therein. And they just sort of apply it sometimes as a catch-all where they're held out as an authority when they may not necessarily be an authority. An epidemiologist may not know how to treat someone who is a patient under the care of an actual doctor, a general practitioner. Those people existed. They were actually using what they were observing as effective treatments, and they were shut down and they were silenced. So let me ask you this. The mistrust just seems to be coming from these bureaucrats, right? Well, no. Do you think it's organic when now you see a bunch of protesters out there, including one protester, it's the clip RFK protest, accusing RFK Jr. personally of killing millions of people?
Drug prices, prior authorization, information blocking.
The committee will come to order.
Wheeler
Save the
out.
bureaucrats.
You need to remove that one.
Who has he killed?
I apologize to you for that outburst, Secretary Kennedy. I would notify everyone else in the audience. Comments from the audience are inappropriate. If there are any further disruptions, the committee will recess until the police can restore order.
Who is he killed? They're treating him like he's RFK Jr. They're treating him like he is a villain. They're like, well, actually, today we're going to have trials. Well, yeah, that's what we should do.
Outbursts will only be accepted from sitting board members.
That's right. Okay.
Only senators up here can have an outburst. Okay.
You got to trust the authorities. Okay. CNN right now they're showing some other talking heads, but I bet you if we go to C-SPAN, we can still go back to the live hearing.
He's done. The hearing's done.
The hearing is done.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys can bring us the.
There's something so funny about someone being wheeled out.
I know.
And shouting stuff over their shoulder.
It makes it much. You got to lock the wheels or something. I don't know. It makes it harder to stay and be effective. They can just wheel you out.
Yeah. Well,
how much you want to bet that that's a lady who's an activist, probably some genderqueer activist who's disabled, and you are not listening to the voices of the disabled community.
Yeah. Do we want to hear what these hags on CNN have to say at all?
No, we'll go to them after. So here's a senator from Oregon. This is hey, can we bring up the intellectual fallacy alert? Can we bring that up? Because this is what the left does. It's all they have. It's the appeal to authority fallacy. I haven't even seen this clip yet, but I can guess, I can bet. I have a description here. They're shaming RFK because all the experts, by the way, who determined COVID policy, all the experts at WHO who don't acknowledge that Taiwan even exists, all the experts who said it came from a bat sandwich in a wet market, all those experts are against RFK. So there.
I don't get letters from thousands of people who are not political saying that this set of changes is going to damage American healthcare, and particularly these healthcare agencies for decades.
The picture of health.
I don't get any letters.
The healthcare industry is struggling right now.
Yeah, maybe you're listening to a selective group of people.
Well, you get me.
Yeah, and I will.
Fine.
I will tell you what, Senator. I will put my mailbag against your mailbag any day of the week.
Is that his ball sack? My mailbag?
No, basically what he's saying is like, hey,
ball bag.
Yeah, he was making, and this is the guy he went on afterwards to say, you've been in that seat, 25 years and you haven't done anything. So basically he was trying to make the point, like all these experts are writing in letters. They're telling us that you're wrong. All the doctors, he goes, I got tons of doctors telling me I'm doing the right thing. And he's like, well, I don't want to. He's like, well, maybe you're listening to the wrong guys. How about we compare mailbags? Yeah. How about you look at the people that I have telling me? It just negates his point completely. It's like that we're not polling the audience.
Yeah.
He should have pulled that bag out.
Industry.
That bag of mail should have pulled the letter out and it says, Dear Cigarette Santa.
Yeah. Yes, it should have been like Miracle on 34th Street. All these letters to RFK Claus. Yes. That's right. That's my ball bag.
Yeah, the senator's getting letters from bureaucrats while he's getting letters from actual doctors.
Yes.
Right.
Also,
and parents.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing, too. Let's assume that they're right for a second. Let's assume that let's walk through it. Lockdowns are right. Shutting down schools for over a year. Of course, shutting down business, rent forgiveness, student loan forgiveness, all of these policies. Believing that it didn't come from a lab, but it came from a wet market. Vaccinating young children, forcing it on pregnant women, all of these. Let's assume that they're right. Okay, so on one side, you have the left, you have these people and the bureaucrats, the experts they're referring to. On the other side, you do have plenty of experts, practicing doctors and people who are sounding the alarm at this point in time. But even if you look at these two and you say, I think they're more right, and I'm really glad that I took 18 mRNA injections, fine. You just say, okay, what's the prescribed solution? One side was allow states to do what they believe is appropriate for their state. Don't mandate a vaccine. Allow the teachers and the people who want to go back to school to go back to school. And the other side was saying, no, it's exclusively our way and the advice of only our experts or else. So even if you agree with their science, likely because you haven't looked into it, well, who is actively harming you more? I mean, what does it harm you for someone to say, hey, it's experimental, because everything right now is experimental. This is a novel virus. We're hearing good things about hydroxychloroquine. Oh, turns out ivermectin is better. We're hearing good things about perhaps using these supplements of NAD and zinc and quercetin so that it can. We're seeing some good things with patients. These are protective measures that maybe you can take. For crying out loud, during COVID, you had people being banned because there were medical experts online saying, I am not saying that this is a cure at all, but of course, your overall fitness is going to make you far more robust to withstanding these diseases. So exercise, eat right? If you could lose some weight, that may actually have more of an effect than even being vaccinated. If you could get your BMI in a healthy range, those people were banned. That's assuming the same level of expertise. By the way, the one group of experts who said our way or the highway were also saying that you should transition your kids. No, sorry, that you're not allowed to prevent your children from transitioning. So only one side, if you agree with them more as far as a starting off point, only one side was offering exclusively a corrosive solution. Doesn't that count for something?
How did we even get here, too? This is the group of people, the Dallas Buyers Club movie.
Yeah.
When people were dying because of AIDS, and it was a death sentence, right? They were willing to go anywhere to try anything. And they make movies about that now, like tearjerker movies to say, see how the medical community denied people any kind of treatment. They would sign a form saying, I don't care how experimental it is, I'm going to die.
Called the right to try.
Right? Exactly, the right to try. And now, when it comes around on COVID, you have no right to try. Right. People are still dying. I'm not kidding. People forget that when somebody went on a ventilator, we all go, oh, no.
Yeah, I know.
Because that was a death sentence. They did not know how to fix you. And ventilator was like last try. They were running out of them.
And by the way, I think the right to try means you should have the right to try an mRNA injection. You should. Shouldn't be an $80 billion contract with no liability whatsoever at large for companies like Pfizer and Moderna. But I think if you want to, you should have the right to try, sign that waiver and say, I will deal with whatever ramifications come my way. I think if you have a terminal illness, I think you should be able to try any drug you want, regardless of whether it causes a tummy ache. And I'm vehemently against mandates. The left doesn't believe you have the right to try, and they're pro-mandate. That's what the right to try is. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have the right to try these things, but
they are.
They are, and also it's anti-right to try. You know why? Because you know what happens when you have these giant, effectively no-bid government contracts to 3 pharmaceutical companies? You have less things to try because there's less competition. The incentive is a race to get the government contract. We see that all the time. It's a race to create a business model for a bailout. Right to try means everyone can bring these things to market. Now, it's not going to be considered approved. It's not going to be considered effective until it's gone through trials that are replicated. That's what RFK Jr., that's what I believe. But if you're in a tight spot and it's showing promise and it hasn't finished that process, if you are willing to waive that liability, you can try it. We're not forcing you to try something experimental and forcing you to waive liability as they did en masse with these companies.
Yeah.
Do you guys see it? One side always inches closer to taking away your freedoms, even if you agree with their LGBTQ, AIP, mRNA science. How much do you value their science versus your rights? Because that's the decision you have to make. That's what's at stake here. RFK Jr., as I also understand it, unloaded on just that, those health bureaucrats. He's not a fan. Clip RFK CDC go.
Yes, Senator, this morning I got the latest numbers from CDC that 76.4% of Americans now have a chronic disease. This is stunning. When my uncle was president, it was 11%. In 1950, it was 3%. Today, it's 76.4%. 8 out of 10 of our kids cannot qualify for military service. This is a national security issue. When my uncle was president, we spent 0 on chronic disease. Today, we spend $1.3 trillion. It's the biggest cause, it's increasing. And all of the arguments that Republicans and Democrats have about single payer, Obamacare, or with the various ways to allocate the health dollars, they're all like rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. If we don't end this chronic disease, we are the sickest country in the world. That's why we have to fire people at CDC. They did not do their job.
Good.
This was their job to keep us healthy.
Thank you,
And
Mr.
I need to fire some of those people to make sure this doesn't happen again.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary.
I love it. By the way, can we pull that last bit of that clip up? Just the last bit. Who's the girl looking at? Because she's making eyes at somebody.
Oh, I don't see. Let me see.
There.
Can you rewind it? I missed
That's
that.
why we have to fire people
Look at
at
her.
CDC.
Ooh.
They did
She's
not
looking
do
off
their
to
job.
his left somewhere at somebody,
This was
just
their
like
job to keep us healthy.
Thank you,
And
Mr.
I need to fire some of those
Look at that.
people to
Oh.
make sure this doesn't happen again.
It's like
Thank
one
you,
of
Mr.
those.
Secretary.
It's one of those posters that follows you. No
Yes,
matter
I was
where
just
you
thinking
go.
like a Scooby-Doo painting.
Yeah. She's like, it's time for my injection.
I think she was just looking at the
is there a
chairman
monitor
there.
or something?
I think she heard someone act like a man and got tingly. That's what I think just happened.
Okay, all right.
I'm gonna fire some of them too. Good.
Yeah,
Good.
He was walking on his way over and saw her, and he's like, "You sit off to my right on camera."
Yeah, she's gonna go home and punch her man in the throat tonight. Talk like RFK.
A lot of vibrato in that voice.
Oh my goodness.
50 Shades of RFK.
we have one more clip. If you want to do that, we can do PBD either right now or we can do it later.
Yeah, I had one. Well, let me see the other clip, but I had one point to make on that.
It's the one about making stuff up, like you're just making stuff up.
Well, here's the thing. I will say, the left will try and say, well, that's because of increased, of more efficient testing. Okay, that doesn't account for the shorter lifespan.
And shrinking lifespan, by the way.
Yeah,
I've been thinking about that a lot lately. I've been thinking about the lifespan. I've been thinking about the replacement rate.
Yep.
It's been keeping me up.
It doesn't account for the obesity rates using, if anything, more effective metrics or pretty stable metrics if we're just going by BMI. It doesn't explain that. People, your job is to keep people. Well, I wouldn't say keep people healthy. Your job is to ensure that people have the right access to the correct information so that they can make informed decisions and be healthy. People are less healthy. They're dying younger, and they're having lower quality of life outcomes as far as health parameters. What metric are you guys using to say you're good at your job? Can anyone answer that? Can anyone? I know we do have some people who are kind of coming into the fold here. Anyone here who still has trust in these institutions, can anyone answer me? What metric are you using to suggest that the CDC or HHS is good at their job? I honestly, because I try and steelman the arguments of the left. I guess some people might say there would have been far more lives lost if they didn't during COVID. Okay, but I'm talking about at large. People are less healthy, sicker, dumber. Objectively, regardless of testing. We're not just talking about testing. I get it. They catch diseases earlier. That's understood. Doesn't account for life expectancy. Doesn't account for obesity. What metric? Let's run that next clip that you were discussing right there. I'm seeing this for the first time.
For healthy kids.
So when have you produced the data that you relied on and that this FDA relied on to change those parameters? You did it behind closed doors.
No, the data is all public.
Now parents who decide that they do want their children to have
You're just
COVID
making
vaccine
stuff up, Senator.
I'm not
You're
making
just
stuff
making stuff up.
You know, sometimes when you make an accusation, it's kind of a confession, Mr. Kennedy. So let's just settle
That's
this.
the I am
Here's
rubber,
what's
you
gonna
are glue
happen.
defense.
To Senator Warner's point, to the parents who are concerned all around the country, to people who want to get the COVID vaccine this fall, even if they're under 65, because the boosters have worked, there's been much less serious disease. People do not have the same level of threat and risk from COVID that they used to because of these vaccines. People who want to exercise their freedom of choice are being denied that.
No, they aren't. Everybody can get the vaccine.
Because you are citing data that you won't produce to the public.
You're just
and you are
making things up.
rejecting.
You're making things up to scare people, and it's a lie.
Yeah, exactly.
With respect, I do not think I'm the one making things.
You are
Thank you,
lying
Mr. Chair.
right now.
I will tell you where she's lying. Okay? The reason that people are resigning is because he is pushing for the data to be public, and he is not barring anyone from getting the vaccine. None of those claims are true whatsoever. You want to get it? Okay, fine. Is she talking about what she means? Does she mean that if you don't throw a never-ending supply of public funding at it, that you're preventing people from getting the vaccine? That's usually what they mean. It's usually the wish list argument is how I refer to it. And then saying, hey, you're doing this behind closed doors. No, his whole push is so that things don't happen behind closed doors. That's why you have this petition. That's why the people who've done it behind closed doors no longer want him. They're trying to get him fired.
It's almost like they don't want the information that they worked on to be out there.
Yeah.
That's crazy. By the way, they may have been just taking.
Don't expose me.
Oh, they may have just been taking a break.
I think they're actually back now. It looked like they were adjourning, but maybe they just.
Well, thanks for cutting me off at the knees there.
I just told you, my thing.
Okay, let's see. It's Blackburn right now, so it'll probably be more friendly.
Yeah.
Appreciate your comments to Senator Warner on the area wage index. He and I have worked on fixing that, and we appreciate your attention. I am delighted to know that you're going to end the revolving door and the conflicts of interest. I have found it so unseemly that people who work with a pharmaceutical or with a big food company then go back over into CDC or NIH or FDA, and then they're signing off on regulation for.
Yeah, since this is friendly, I have one question. Since these people care so much about public health, right, and they believe in never-ending supply of government funding, there's never been a single program they want to cut unless it's something involving the military because they want you less safe. Okay, maybe the police too, but that's more local. All right, you care about people's health, yeah. Why would you want soda and candy on SNAP?
Mental health.
Okay.
Yeah, duh.
Do you think that someone who who spends or uses all of their SNAP resources, EBT, on soda and candy, as opposed to what I propose, which is necessities, produce, milk, meat, do you think they are more or less likely to develop chronic diseases? Could we find some common ground there? Since the government's providing it, could we just ensure that since it's the one area where we will control, I don't want to infringe on people's choice, but since it is funded by the government and the taxpayer, hey, how about we ensure that they're making healthy decisions? Wait, hold on a sec. Okay, no? Hey, you're all about democracy. Let's put it to a vote. The taxpayers who fund it, the ones who contribute, you can't have the people taking vote. Let's toss that to a Democratic vote. The people paying the taxes, if they believe that we should be providing unhealthy foods to people on SNAP or EBT, there's nothing about these people on the left that cares about your freedom or your health. There's one side arguing for people to be healthier, to be more informed in making their decisions, to be able to defend themselves, to be able to make their own financial decisions. Do not say that both sides are the same. There are bad people on the right, sure. But if it's only a sliver, that is the only portion left of representatives in United States government and all the bureaucratic organizations therein advocating for Americans to be able to make more informed decisions, to be able to make more decisions, to be healthier, and to be able to protect themselves and their family. In other words, if they had their way, you would be more independent and free to be healthier, sicker, stronger, defend your home, or be a victim, but it's up to you. If you believe the one side, you would be required to be dependent on them for everything. And it only gets worse. Dependent on the people who've objectively created this scenario with worse health outcomes than 40 years ago. How did we get there? Think about it. That includes the generations of people who came back from Vietnam who are inhaling Agent Orange.
Yeah.
Think about that.
That's insane.
All right, so they're going continuing with
she's continuing right now. We'll probably get more fired up stuff. I mean, CNN is covering this in a very predictable way.
Of course,
right? They're basically saying that they're going to rake Robert Kennedy over the coals, or RFK Jr. if you want to call him that. But here's some positive news before we go. The Trump DOJ deliberates over gun ban for transgenders, this according to the Daily Wire. So individuals within the DOJ are reviewing ways to ensure that mentally ill individuals suffering from gender dysphoria are unable to obtain firearms while they are unstable and unwell.
Oh, that's an interesting conversation.
Interesting conversation about the gun part. But here's what I like about that. They're at least calling it what it is.
Yep.
Mentally ill people with gender dysphoria. Please keep saying that. Over and over and over on a loop.
This is going to create an argument from the left about not about red flag. I was going to say about the right to self-defense.
Yeah,
and I think that's a healthy argument to have.
Yeah,
because I think we need to reclassify it as mental disorder again.
Yeah,
and then that would prevent people from buying certain firearms. But they're going to make that argument that now you're saying that trans people they don't deserve to defend themselves. You want to erase trans people, they can't defend themselves. I'm like, ooh, interesting point about defending yourself.
Yeah.
It's funny you should bring that up.
Tell me again about red flag laws. Do you believe that someone who takes a Xanax should not be allowed? Okay. Are they in a statistical risk category of a 42% attempted suicide rate? No, that's only paranoid schizophrenics and transgenders. Interesting.
Keep talking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds like
Not
they're
gonna get
drafting a
better.
DSM-6.
Yeah. Yes. It's
Yes.
about time, too.
And then the left will say, "Oh, that doesn't count. We only go by the DSM-5."
Yeah, right.
the real one.
We only go by the DSM. It's all about the 5. It's all about 5
Everybody
these
knows
days,
the
folks.
5,
Everybody
yeah.
knows it's about 5. Fat cock vagina is exactly what I would say if I wasn't here on YouTube. So go and subscribe on Rumble. Same channel where free speech is actually alive and well. Or you can stay here and the